President. I rise today to express my strong support for the McConnell Amendment. This amendment prevents EPA from continuing to reach beyond Congress's clear intent under the Clean Air Act. Congress did not authorize greenhouse gas regulation under the Clean Air Act. This amendment is an appropriate response to clarify the law that has been misinterpreted. The EPA should not be making policy decisions beyond the authority clearly granted to the agency by Congress. Let's remember, last year, Congress rejected cap-and-trade agenda on a bipartisan basis. EPA's agenda is a job-destroying agenda. It will raise the price of energy, food, and gasoline. The cost of this policy will be transferred to the people of Arkansas and all Americans every time they shop at the store. EPA's agenda will not lead to a cleaner environment. American manufacturing will be hurt, and our manufacturing capacity will be replaced by foreign competitors with weak environmental standards. This amendment will allow individual states to keep existing policies in place by permitting them to regulate emissions as they see fit. This amendment also enables the EPA to focus on the important purposes of the Clean Air Act, which I strongly support. The Clean Air Act must be used to protect the public from harmful pollution. The Clean Air Act was not intended to address climate change concerns. Finally, let me address a myth that we keep hearing. Some have stated that the Supreme Court is forcing the EPA to take this heavy-handed, backdoor cap and tax approach. This is wrong. The Supreme Court stated that the EPA can decide whether greenhouse gases endanger public health and welfare. Many senators believe the Supreme Court's interpretation of the law is wrong. Yet EPA made a political decision based on the court's ruling to expand their jurisdiction far beyond what Congress intended. This amendment will correct that action. Others have stated that this amendment would permanently eliminate the EPA's authority to regulate greenhouse gases. This is also wrong. No policy is permanent unless it is part of our Constitution, and even the Constitution can be amended. We can enact this amendment and still have a debate in this body about needed policy changes in the future. Finally, let me quickly address some of the alternatives to this amendment that have been suggested. Some of my colleagues have suggested delaying the EPA's actions by 2 years. Others have suggested that one sector of the economy or another should be exempted from EPA's unnecessary and burdensome rules. I would suggest that these proposals do not provide the cover that some senators want. Bad policy is bad policy, whether carried out this year or 2 years from now. Our job creators need certainty. Restraining the EPA for 2 years will not provide the certainty they need to invest and create more jobs. Exempting one sector of the economy is also not enough. There is no excuse for protecting just one sector while watching Americans in other sectors lose their jobs to foreign competitors. At the moment, our priority must be job creation, protecting our industrial and manufacturing sectors, and keeping gas and food prices low. We must make sure the EPA avoids politically driven initiatives and becomes focused on its core mission, protecting air and water quality and preventing exposure to toxic contamination. With that, Mr. President, I yield back and note the absence of a quorum.
The senator from Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you. Mr. President,